All right, speaking of hooping, Team USA's men's basketball team back in action today with a test against South Sudan. Now remember, this is the same South Sudan that just 11 days ago barely lost to Team USA in a thrilling 101-100 exhibition battle. The U.S. needed a game-winning layup from LeBron to pull it out. Both teams won their initial Olympic matchups and are tops in Group C. So let's bring in Brian Windhorst, joining us live from Paris. Okay, Brian, how is Team USA approaching this game after barely getting by South Sudan in London less than 2 weeks ago?
Seriously, Ryan, because this is a team that I think when the draw happened, you thought this was going to be the quote-unquote easy game in the pool play, and that is obviously not going to be the case. South Sudan has a team chock full of terrific athletes, and we saw about 10 days ago in London how terrific they are at shooting the ball. They hit 14 three-pointers in that game. Their point guard, Carlick Jones, a former G League Player of the Year, was repeatedly breaking down the U.S. off the dribble, creating outside looks as the ball went into rotation. He is a terrific, perfect player for FIBA, and you will see a lot of pressure being put by South Sudan on the U.S. That is why I believe you will see Jason Tatum back out there. This will not be a game where, like Serbia, where you focus on defending the big men. This will be a game where all the guys on the floor got to switch and cover ground. Tatum is perfect for that. Less bigs, more wings, should be a completely different outcome, a completely different style of game today.
Okay, so everybody talking about how Tatum didn't play the last game. He'll play this one. He's averaging just under 7 points in Team USA's 5 exhibition games. Now, let's talk about Joel Embiid, the man in the middle. He looked physically outmatched by Nikola Jokic in the first game. Just 4 points on 2 of 5 shooting, 11 minutes against Serbia. Brian, how is Embiid taking this entire Olympic experience?
Ryan, there's a lot of people in Paris having a blast. I don't think Joel Embiid is on that list. He is getting booed every time he touches the ball when he's announced because the French fans are upset with him for choosing Team USA over playing for Team France. He is coming off of a sickness. He was already coming off a knee injury. It was a slow start to the summer for him. He definitely was a little out of rhythm against Serbia the other day. We asked him yesterday what he could take away from this FIBA experience, and he said, nothing. We asked him what his reaction to getting booed by the French was, and he said, nothing. I really think that it's been a little bit of a struggle for him, but there are plenty of times ahead. And Steve Kerr has shown nothing but belief and faith in Joel Embiid. They're willing to wait for him, and he will remain in the starting lineup.
Okay, may want to get out of France pretty quickly. It's worth noting Embiid was eligible to compete for the national teams of Cameroon and France. He chose the U.S. Let's see if he can turn this Olympic experience around. Brian Whittle.
The Olympics are all about inspiration, and in that vein, it's hard to beat the story of the South Sudan basketball team. Its basketball federation began in 2011 after the country gained its independence in a civil war. Didn't make much progress until 2020 when former NBA star Luol Deng took over in his native country. In Paris, South Sudan has already beaten Puerto Rico in its Olympic opener, and it took Team USA to the final possession in an exhibition match. The U.S. was favored by 43.5 points in that game and won by 1. They're favored by 29.5 Wednesday when they meet in group play again. But with its own story to write, Team USA won't be caught by surprise. Here's Brian Windhorst.
Team USA doesn't need to be warned about the dangers of playing South Sudan, one of the underdogs in this Olympic tournament, because just 10 days ago, they barely survived against them in an exhibition game in London. And that's on their minds as they begin preparations for Wednesday's game against the South Sudanese.
We have appropriate fear of everybody. The exhibition schedule was great because you got to figure out where we need to get better and also feel the force of teams that are coming trying to beat us, because they're a very high-octane offense. They can spread the floor, shoot a lot of threes. They have athleticism. So you just got to be mindful of how to guard them. It's totally different than Serbia. Like I said, it's appropriate fear of we're beatable if we don't play our game. But if we do, we have a lot of confidence we can beat everybody.
South Sudan, they're quick, they shoot the ball really well. They play hard, so you got to box hard, take away their threes, because last time they made a lot of tough shots and they made a lot of threes. And, just pressure them. That's a really good team, so, we just got to do whatever it takes to win.
They came within one shot of beating us, so I'm really glad that we played them so we could feel, their speed and their three-point shooting ability and feel how good they are. And I think we'll be much better prepared tomorrow.
South Sudan made 14 threes against the U.S. in that exhibition game, something that they're very much going to be paying attention to this time around. That is going to include Jason Tatum, who will be back in the Team USA lineup primarily for his defense. In Paris, Brian Windhorst, ESPN.
Him for happy here, keeping all of these guys happy. Janae, you've played on national teams before, teams that have so much talent. How important is it now that we expect to see Jason Tatum in this next game to keep him and all 12 guys happy here?
It's very important.
Okay.
This was a beast of Steve Kerr's creation because we all know Jason Tatum is comparable to a Derek White or even a Drew Holiday when it comes to talent. We just saw it on the greatest of stages. And so for this situation to be something he had some control in, you could have thrown him a couple minutes here or there, but he chose not to. He chose to communicate that we don't think you're a fit per se in this one game. And it wasn't just a game in the middle of a tournament when people are tired and you're going to rest some guys at certain points. This was game one of the Olympic tournament. That is a tough pill to swallow if you're Jason Tatum. But I do think that moving forward, there was going to be some intentionality to make sure he feels good. And I also think the question was, we've got 10 guys. You can really only play 10 guys at this level. But games do balloon, to 10-point leads, 20-point leads. Yeah. You can mix other guys in to see if they can fit that mold for the future. That's where the opportunity was lost. But there are more opportunities with games for Tatum to really show him what he's got. He's going to be motivated.
So here's what Steve Kerr did. He went to Jason Tatum before the game and said, I don't think you're going to get in. He was prepared before the game, from what I understand, and said, I don't think you're playing. Now, that was not messaged publicly. That was not sent out through Brian Windhorst or any of the other reporters that are there. But that is what you do for an NBA superstar so they do not caught completely off guard. But I think it's also important, it wasn't that much before the game, right? It was before the game. And so he's now come out and said he will play him in the next game. He's going to play in the next game. I wouldn't be surprised if he even started him as a makeup. Hey,
really?
We feel bad.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Jason
Tatum. Would not be surprised at all. This was the kind of thing that for Jason Tatum, who has been a part of Team USA, who is a nice guy and was a total pro about this. That was a really tough pill to swallow in the Olympic opener, as you said, Chene. In the Olympic opener, that's a first-team All-NBA player, NBA champ.
Two things I have issue with. One, it is going to be a makeup situation because that wing spot, especially with Kevin Durant, whether he starts or he's off the bench, is a competitive spot. So you're sort of saying, hey, we're going to give this to you because we know that this situation has come a little bit out of control. But also, when I was watching this game, and we all know the group chat, we're like, oh, is he okay? Jason Tatum, all that type of stuff.
I thought he was sick or something.
That's the thing. You could see in his body language that something wasn't right. He was sitting on the bench. He kind of was moving around. You could tell something was
trying to be a pro.
Right.
I know I'm on camera.
Exactly. And he did exactly, but that's what did not sit well with him.
Coming out of the second half, really kind of went straight to his role.
I know that Jason Tatum sitting overshadows a lot of things. I actually, and Celtics fans probably don't agree with me, I think Steve Kerr did a terrific job on Sunday here. The ability to mix and match this roster. Joel Embiid struggled. He pulled him. Anthony Davis comes into the game here. The ability to put Bam Adebayo and Anthony Edwards here. I think this is the hardest job of anything here. When you're looking at Jason Tatum was first team All-NBA. Yeah. That means he's one of the top 5 players in the NBA here. To sit him, certainly we can talk about communication level here, but I thought Steve Kerr overall, I thought he did a good job, and I know the Tatum situation certainly overshadows a lot of things.
Well, and keep in mind, this is impossible. We're talking about 40 minutes here, a 40-minute game where you're trying to get your rotations right and make sure that everyone gets in and everyone gets happy. And Bobby, Kevin Durant, he thrived in a 6-man role here against Serbia, but you have to imagine it's going to be hard to keep him out of the starting lineup here moving forward. So I ask you, Ramona floated the possibility of even Jason Tatum starting here against South Sudan. Who should start? And in turn, who should sit?
It's the same starting 5. Certainly, I think it's Drew Holiday and Devin Booker, and it's Joel Embiid certainly at the 5, and Steph Curry and LeBron James. For me, it doesn't matter who starts; it's a matter who finishes and who's playing the best here. And I think